What led you to write this book and research this book, The Great Reset? Tell us about it.
Well, I think, people are talking about how does the economy recover? How do we create jobs? And the fact of the matter is, there's a debate over monetary easing. There's a debate over whether we need stimulus. When I look back at history, the way we really recover from economic downturns is we build new cities. Or what really saved us from the Great Depression wasn't just the FDR spending and government spending, wasn't just the military move of World War II. It was the building of those great suburbs that stoked the industrial furnace by enabling people to buy. When they bought that house, they had to buy a car and a refrigerator, washer, dryer, and TV. So the way we live, and especially our cities, are now the driving force in our economy.
Well, let's take a look at those cities that have managed to fare better than others during the recession and see why they have been able to do this. You've come up with a lot of research and interesting maps that we'd also like to show to our viewers. One of them is on economic activity, the places in the world where you have found the highest level of economic activity. Does that really go together with your idea that putting together a lot of talented, innovative, creative people together makes cities grow and resist the pressures of recessions better?
Well, it's really interesting looking at this economic downturn. If you look at the great cities of the world, and I look at the mega regions, not only the cities, but the hinterland surrounding them. Greater Tokyo, the largest one in the world, $2 trillion in economic output. The great Boston, New York, Washington corridor. The area that goes from Chicago out to Pittsburgh and on and on. Those great behemoth cities, even the ones that were hard hit with the financial shock, they've been able to rebound. In the United States, the entire Boston, New York, Washington corridor has been stable, but also college towns have been incredibly resilient with health care and education. But it's those old manufacturing cities, as the economy has been hit, that have been so devastated, and those Sunbelt cities of sprawl, like Phoenix and Las Vegas. So denser, bigger, more knowledge-intensive cities that are attracting creative people, building more robust and diverse economies. They've been much more stable. Actually, this recession, this crisis, has been a tale of two crises, with the knowledge cities and the big cities doing okay, those cities of sprawl and the Frost Belt cities getting hard hit.
So the way you see the future, from what I've been able to gather from your book, is basically developing mega regions, multitudes of cities with suburbs, and kind of connecting them together. Is that what you mean in your book when you write about the future belonging to mega regions?
Well, going back to that great piece that Sanjay did and your whole discussion of an urban planet, we really are in an urban planet. We have this mythology out there. The mythology, the world is flat, 6 billion people plugging and playing from anywhere. But the reality is the world is spiky. And, our research finds that these 40 megaregions, these great economic agglomerations, like the Shanghai-Beijing corridor, the Mumbai-Bangalore axis, Southern California, these 40 megaregions house less than 1 in 5 of the Earth's people, but they produce 2/3 of our total economy, our economic output, and they generate 9 in 10 of our innovations. Yes, urbanization brings problems of pollution and disruption, but urbanization is also the solution and the long-run path towards economic growth and prosperity.
Now, I have to ask you this. How do you make this happen? How do those cities who have succeeded, those top cities that we were showing, Kobe, Japan, the Washington area there, how have they managed? Has it been government strategy-wise, local policies? How do other cities that are struggling with the recession improve?
Well, I think the reason that cities got big, London got big, New York got big, Shanghai and Beijing got big, I think they're very diverse. They're very malleable, and it's not a top-down government policy. It comes from the bottom up. Some of these physicists and biologists at the Santa Fe Institute, these big thinkers, they actually came up with a theory of this. They call it the metabolism of cities, the urban metabolism. All organisms, as they get bigger, our metabolism slows down. A little tiny ant has a fast metabolism. A giant elephant has a slow metabolism. Cities are the only social or biological organism that as they get bigger, their metabolism speeds up. So what the biggest and the best cities do in order to overcome congestion and rising costs, costs of doing business, higher rents, they speed up the pace of life, they speed up the pace of business, and they accelerate the velocity of moving people, goods, and ideas. They become those innovation centers. So what we found is our biggest and our best cities worldwide increase their competitive edge because they're diverse and they move so fast.
But what about those that fail? For example, in the United States, Detroit is one example, which is just 30 miles or 50 kilometers away from Ann Arbor, which is thriving.
Remember that tale of two economies, tale of two cities. I've lived in many declining cities. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, right across the river from the world's greatest city, an area of poverty and decline. I lived in Pittsburgh for nearly 20 years, and I watched as that city was brought to its knees by the decline of steel. Why? It was locked into a single industry. It could not change. It stopped innovating. Same with Detroit. It got locked into cars and autos. Protect that industry. Bail it out. They've got to get over that. What brought Pittsburgh back was diversifying away from steel, building up around Carnegie Mellon, the University of Pittsburgh, biotech and software. Look at Detroit. It has a fantastic base of innovation historically. It is the real generator of new popular music, from Motown to hard rock to electronic and everything in between. But think about those great universities right outside the city in Ann Arbor. When I look at the data, Ann Arbor today, literally 50 kilometers, 30 miles from downtown Detroit, is performing like Boulder, Colorado, or Austin, Texas, or Silicon Valley, California. Stable employment, high rates of innovation, startup companies. So it's not geography. It's, do you leverage your knowledge assets? Are you a diverse economy? And Lord knows you don't want to get locked in and stick with an old declining industry when you need to diversify and move forward.
Absolutely. Good point. Professor Richard Florida, thank you very much. Professor Florida is the author of the book, The Great Reset.